Writing a first draft is one of the most exhilarating yet daunting experiences for any author. It's the moment when your ideas take their first steps into the world, yet it's also filled with self-doubt, frustration, and confusion. A lot of the anxiety that surrounds this stage of writing is fueled by the numerous myths that writers believe about the drafting process. These myths can paralyze you, prevent progress, and sometimes lead you to abandon a project altogether. In this video, we'll explore the most common myths about completing your first draft and provide practical strategies to help you break free from these misconceptions.
Hi and welcome in our channel Alive Inc. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe for our future videos, and thank you very much in advance.
Myth 1. Your first draft needs to be perfect. One of the most common myths that hold writers back is the belief that your first draft must be flawless. This notion is a creativity killer. Many writers envision their first draft as a polished masterpiece, only to be disappointed by their messy, disjointed work when they finally put words on the page. The reality, your first draft is meant to be messy. It's called a rough draft for a reason. The main purpose of this draft is to get your ideas down on paper without overthinking. In the first draft, your only goal is to tell the story. Worrying about grammar, plot holes, or weak dialogue at this stage will stifle your creativity. What to do instead? Give yourself permission to write poorly. You'll have plenty of time to fix everything later during revisions. Focus on getting the words down and letting the story unfold. Your first draft is the foundation, not the final product. Myth 2. You must write every day. While it's true that consistency is key to completing a draft, the myth that you must write daily can be counterproductive. Many writing coaches suggest daily writing habits, but life can often get in the way, and missing a day or two shouldn't make you feel like a failure. The reality, writing every day is a great goal, but it's not realistic for everyone. Life is unpredictable, and forcing yourself to write when you're exhausted, uninspired, or busy can lead to burnout or low-quality work. What to do instead? Instead of focusing on writing every day, create a flexible schedule that works for you. Set weekly or monthly word count goals. Some days, you'll write more. Other days, you might write less or not at all. What matters is consistency over time, not a rigid daily routine. Myth 3. You need a detailed outline before you start. There's a common misconception that writers need a detailed outline before they begin drafting their book. Many new writers believe they must have every plot point, character arc, and scene mapped out to write a successful first draft. The reality, while some writers thrive with detailed outlines, others find that outlining stifles their creativity. Not everyone is a plotter, someone who plans everything before writing. Many successful authors are pantsers writers who fly by the seat of their pants, discovering the story as they write. What to do instead? If outlining works for you, great. If not, don't feel pressured to follow this method. Some writers prefer to start with a loose concept or a few key scenes in mind and let the story evolve organically. You can always adjust or create an outline midway through the draft if you feel lost. Myth 4. You need to write chronologically. Another myth is that you must write your book in chronological order, starting from chapter 1 and continuing straight through to the end. Many writers feel stuck because they can't figure out how to start or are unsure about certain scenes early in the book. The reality, there are no rules that say you have to write your first draft in order. Many writers find it easier to skip ahead to the scenes that excite them the most, then come back to fill in the gaps later. What to do instead? If you find yourself stuck, jump to a scene or chapter that you're eager to write. Let the energy from those exciting scenes carry you through the difficult parts of the draft. You can always reorder and polish the manuscript during revisions. Myth 5. You should aim for a certain word count. There is an obsession among writers with word count. Whether it's 50,000 words for a NaNoWriMo project or 90,000 for a fantasy novel, writers often feel pressure to hit an arbitrary number, believing that their book will be more complete at a specific length. The reality, word count goals are helpful, but they should never become a source of stress. Every story is different, and the length of your first draft doesn't determine its quality. Some books need more words, while others need fewer. What to do instead? Focus on telling the full story. If your draft ends up shorter than expected, that's okay. You can always expand it later. If it's longer, you can trim it during revisions. Don't let word count dictate the flow of your narrative. Myth 6. You can't move on until you fix every scene. Many writers believe that they need to perfect each chapter before moving on to the next. They spend days or even weeks revising and tweaking one scene, trying to make it perfect before continuing with the draft. The reality, if you try to perfect each scene before moving on, you'll never finish your first draft. The first draft is about momentum, getting from the beginning to the end. Obsessing over every word and scene will only slow you down. What to do instead? If a scene is giving you trouble, make a note to come back to it later. Keep moving forward, even if the scene isn't perfect. Your first draft is a work in progress, and revisions are where the real magic happens. Just get the words on the page and trust that you can fix them later. Myth 7. Inspiration is the key to finishing a draft. Many writers believe that they can only write when inspiration strikes, waiting for the perfect moment to sit down and let the words flow. This myth can lead to long stretches of inactivity as you wait for that elusive burst of creativity. The reality, inspiration is fickle. Waiting for it means you'll rarely get anything done. Writing is as much about discipline as it is about creativity. Successful authors know that the only way to finish a draft is to keep writing, even on days when they don't feel inspired. What to do instead? Develop a writing routine that works for you, even if it's only for 30 minutes a day. Showing up regularly to write, even when you don't feel inspired, is the key to completing a draft. The more you write, the more likely inspiration will find you along the way. Myth 8. If you don't love every moment, you're not cut out for writing. Writing can be romanticized as a blissful experience where every sentence flows effortlessly. When reality doesn't live up to this ideal, many writers question whether they're meant to write at all. The reality, writing a first draft is hard work. There will be moments of joy and excitement, but there will also be times when writing feels like a slog. It's normal to struggle and to doubt yourself along the way. What to do instead? Recognize that writing isn't always going to be easy. Some days will be harder than others, but that doesn't mean you're not a writer. Push through the difficult moments, knowing that the effort you put in now will pay off in the end. Myth 9. You have to follow writing rules rigidly. Many writers get bogged down by all the writing rules they've heard. Whether it's about using certain types of dialogue tags, avoiding adverbs, or adhering strictly to show don't tell, these rules can make writers feel paralyzed and afraid to make mistakes. The reality, while many writing rules are helpful, they're not set in stone. Following them too strictly can limit your creativity and make your writing feel formulaic. Remember, these rules are guidelines, not laws. What to do instead? Don't be afraid to break the rules when it serves your story. Focus on finding your voice and telling the story in the best way possible. You can always refine the structure and style during revisions. Myth 10. You're the only one struggling. One of the most pervasive myths is that other writers don't struggle as much as you do. It's easy to feel like you're the only one battling self-doubt, procrastination, or writer's block. The reality, every writer struggles with their first draft. Even best-selling authors have experienced doubt, frustration, and difficulty during the writing process. You're not alone in this journey. What to do instead? Remember that writing is a process. Reach out to other writers for support, join writing communities, and be kind to yourself. Writing a book is hard, but you're capable of seeing it through to the end. Conclusion: embrace the journey. The first draft of your book doesn't need to be perfect, fast, or easy, it just needs to exist. By breaking free from these common myths, you'll be able to write with more freedom, less stress, and more joy. Every writer's journey is unique, and the most important step you can take is the one that brings you closer to finishing your draft. So let go of perfection, embrace the mess, and keep writing. The world is waiting for your story. Thank you very much for watching, and see you all in the next video.